Hi everyone, welcome back to another week on the Brush by Brandy YouTube channel. My name is Brandy and this week we are working on this piece that is right behind me. This is actually a beautiful vanity. It also does have a mirror that I haven't gotten to work on yet, but I will be. And this gives you a little glimpse of where we're going to be going with this piece. I'm going with a black and a gold theme, and I chose the black background because it really makes these gold details pop. And this week we're going to be using some new designs from Redesign with Prima. We're going to be using some foils from Artistic Painting Studios. I'm going to show you a little blend with some glazes. I don't usually blend with glazes. I usually use paint, but glaze is a beautiful medium and it makes this piece come to life. Altogether, I love how these details coordinate, and all these accentuating pieces just make this vanity over the top. And I always tell you guys, I think vanities should be over the top because they're just the most feminine piece that could ever exist. So I try to run with that, and we definitely did on this piece. So let's go ahead and see where this one started and where it's going to, and I can't wait to show you guys the finished product. Let's get started. Here is where I started on this vanity. This caught my eye because I love the details on this, and I actually got this in a pair with the matching dresser, but that's going to get a completely different look. It's overall in pretty good condition, but it does have some scratches and damage. It definitely needs a makeover. I started off by giving this a thorough cleaning using Greenie's cleaner. I removed all the hardware, and next I'm going to go ahead and sand down this top. I don't think I'm going to do a wood stain top, but this existing clear coat is in such bad condition and has so much pitting that I do need to remove it from the surface just to get it smooth. You can see in this shot as I'm sanding it, all that scratches and dents and dings in this top. I'm using my Surf Prep sander and an 80 grit paper, and it's cutting right through this existing clear coat. This one was kind of a bear. And then I'm going to use my Surf Prep sander on this edge and get as much as I can. And then I can come back with my carbide scraper and get into that most detailed corner. But my Surf Prep's able to remove most of this clear coat. This is a fairly old set of furniture, and so I'm pretty sure that this piece is going to be a bleeder, and that means that the oils can seep through and discolor my paint over time, so I want to make sure that I give this one a good coat of primer. I'm going to coat this in 2 coats of Wisal primer, and the color that I'm using is light gray. Once my primer is completely dry, I came back the next day and I'm going to go ahead and start my paint finish on this. I'm using my Klingon S50 brush. I've got a Mr. bottle of water, and the color I chose for this is going to be a black finish. And I want to do a black blended finish, but I'm going to add some gold details. Now my initial instinct was to blend the black into a lighter color, but I ended up feeling like this and turned it a little bit gray. And I'm not looking for gray. I want something a little bit warmer to tie in with the gold. So I'm still going to show you this initial process of my first coat, only this ends up not being the color that I'm going to go with, although it is a super pretty blend. So these 2 colors that I'm using here is Wisal paint in black, and the color in the center is gray linen. And now I'm going to use my Klingon B10 brush, and I'm going to blend these 2 colors together. This is a pretty challenging blend because it's a pretty stark difference between the 2 colors. The closer that your 2 colors are, the easier that they're going to be to blend. This is just my first coat. I use this coat to conceptualize, decide where I want my overall color layout. So I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about this. It's not going to be absolutely perfect, but this did help me to realize that these were not the right colors that I wanted to blend together. It's actually a little too light, but I think I will save these for another piece. So now that I made some decisions about my paint finish, let's move on to my second coat. I'm going to use the same black around the outer edges. That worked out great. Only I'm going to blend the inside into a chocolate, which is a darker brown than the original gray linen I used on the inside. I think the chocolate is a warmer color. It's a little bit darker and deeper and not so much contrast with the black. And I think it's going to tie in with the gold that I plan to use on this piece and just give me a nice highlight in the center. So I start out by framing out the outside edges using my black. I'm again using my Klingon brush, and I'm just going to form a sort of oval around the outside. Once I've got my black paint about laid out where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and soften up the paint as I get towards the center, and this is where I'm going to do my blending. So I just thin out the paint a little bit. I want this highlight to be down a little bit lower than center, and I'm going to start brushing on my chocolate paint. I'm going to brush that chocolate right into the little frame that I created and then start brushing it into the black around the outside edges. You can see how this is a much easier blend because these 2 colors are so close in tone, and I like much better how the dark brown looks against the black. I'm still going to repeat the same process and use my Klingon B10 brush, and I'm just going to work these 2 colors together. Because I had that lighter blend of paint underneath, I didn't get the full coverage that I wanted from my darker colors on this coat, so I'm going to repeat it again. Only this time I'm going to add a little bit of gold glaze in the center over that chocolate paint. The gold glaze is going to add a little bit of sparkle and it's going to tie in with all those gold details. It's just going to be a really subtle little gold highlight under the brown. Now having the brown underneath helped me get full coverage with that glaze. Because glaze has a clear base, it doesn't get very good coverage, but you can see as I brush it over the chocolate paint, it becomes a solid color and I just get that little bit of sparkle that I want. You can definitely blend with the glazes. Glazes have a little bit shorter of an open time, so they tend to get stickier a little bit faster than paint does. And glazes are also made with a clear base, so they're not going to be great for coverage, but as long as you put a coordinating color underneath, you can absolutely get that little bit of sparkle like what I'm using the gold for here, and I can blend it right into the paint. They're both water-based, so they are compatible. Glazes are a super fun medium and they have all kinds of different uses, and this is just a little bit of a different way that you can use glazes. The final result of this process, blending these two together, is just this really subtle, shiny, sparkly gold highlight in the center of these drawers. It's going to serve as the perfect backdrop for the gold details I'm going to put over top, and this piece is getting tons of gold. You'll always see me pay attention to the outsides of my furniture pieces, but I always pay attention to the inside as well. Once I've got my blend over the front of the drawers, I also blend my drawer edges to match the outside. For my gold detail on this one, I'm going to be using a metallic foil from Artistic Painting Studios, and I very specifically want to place it over these detailed moldings. I want to really bring these out. This piece has great detail and it kind of gets lost in the solid color finish. So I'm going to be applying this gilding glue from Artistic Painting Studios, and then I can go ahead and put their foil right over top. You do want to let your glue dry for at least 30 to 60 minutes, only I found that a little bit longer dry time is better to be on the safe side. You want that glue to dry completely tacky before you come back and put your foil on. I laid my foil over the top and then I'm just using a nail brush to brush it into all the details on this piece. This foil is called Empire Gold and it's perfect because it's got some black in the background that looks like a crackling design that ties in with my black paint finish. And then it also has the gold that's going to tie in with some more of the finishes I plan to use on this piece. You can see as I brush the gold over the top of that adhesive, it just pulls off of the clear backing and onto my sheet. If I have any areas that don't fully attach, I can come back and patch them in like I'm doing here. If they still don't remove, I may need to add a little bit of the glue in those spots and come back and patch it in again. The foils are super easy to use and I'm addicted to the look. They give you all the sparkle of a gold leafing but without any of the mess. Super easy to apply and very little learning curve on these. With my foils all attached, it's time to add this Fleur De Lis transfer from Redesign with Prima. This is one of their brand new releases and it's got tons of sparkle. This transfer is actually made of foil, so it looks like a metallic leafing. It's going to tie in with the metallic foil that I put above it, and I'm going to apply this to the drawers. I start out by dry fitting my transfer onto the front of my drawers, and once I've got my placement figured out, I'm going to rub over the entire transfer using the tool that comes in the package with the transfer. As I'm rubbing, I can start seeing the gold foil releasing from the background. You can just tell that it's going onto the furniture piece. The background starts getting a little bit more translucent and I know that that's released. Any areas I don't see that on, I know I need to rub a little bit more. I'm just going to use a sharp razor knife and slice my drawers on all of the divides to make sure that I can open them. It's easier to slice around my drawer boxes while they're in and the backing sheet on my transfer is still attached. This is going to make sure that I get a nice clean slice on that metallic foil. Now that I've rubbed over the entire transfer and I've sliced for those drawer boxes, I'm going to start pulling away that backing sheet. And I'm just going to pull away a corner. I'm pulling it away slowly, making sure to watch that all that metallic detail is staying onto my furniture piece as I go. If I see a part that's not releasing, I go ahead and put my transfer sheet back down and I'll rub it again and pull it away. You can see the sparkle in the reflection. Look at how reflective this is. I'm super excited about this foil look transfer. This black background really makes that gold pop, and you can see that subtle highlight that I put in the center using that glaze. It's going to be beautiful. It just looks like a little bit of glow coming from behind all these gold details. Once I've got this transfer fully applied to this set of drawers, I'm going to move over to the other side of my piece and repeat this process again. This transfer makes a huge impact. When I compare this side to the other side that doesn't have the transfer on it, it really gives you a wow factor. Look at the difference it made. So in that last shot, you might have noticed that I also had some wow factor hardware on there, and I'm going to do that using this new mold from Redesign with Prima. This is from the same release, and it ties in with the Fleur De Lis transfer. This mold is called Fleur De Lis, and I'm going to cast one of these for each one of my drawer holes where the hardware is going to go. I'm using amazing casting resin for this, and I'm going to mix up equal parts of A and B, stir them together in my cup for about 30 seconds, and then I'm going to pour them into my mold. After about 10 minutes, this resin is fully cured and I can come back and remove it from the mold. You're able to tell it's ready because the resin will turn completely white. I needed a total of 4 of these molds, and so I had to repeat this process 4 times. And then I used a smaller Fleur De Lis up on the top drawers in my desk. Because it has those moldings in place, I needed a smaller design so that it didn't impede with the moldings. So I waited my 10 minutes. I can come back and flex that silicone mold and release those castings, and they're absolutely perfect. I'm going to use these for hardware backing, so while they're still fresh, I went ahead and drilled a hole out of the center. You can see that hole in the center there. And then I spray painted them just using a bronze spray paint to get this dark background. Next, I'm going to apply the same foil adhesive that I used on the background of the desk, and I'm going to put it right onto my hardware. You guessed it, I'm going to be using the same foil that I used on the body on the hardware as well. I'm going to brush this foil adhesive into all the details of this mold, and it has a lot of details and crevices. I try to keep my glue as thin and even as possible. You don't want any pooling in areas. I let it dry overnight, and then I'm going to come back and put my foil over top. I tried to place my foil so I had as little waste as possible. And once I found my placement, I'm going to press that into place over my mold, and I'm just going to use this nylon brush to brush it into all those details. I did need to brush this pretty aggressively because I've got a lot of nooks and crannies to try to get that foil into. So using a pretty firm nylon brush was really helpful on the hardware. Once I've rubbed over the top of this entire mold, I can pull back that sheet of foil and it leaves that gold on the details with the bronze down in the recesses. And this is my beautiful hardware backing. I installed these on my furniture piece using some Titebond Quick and Thick adhesive, and this piece is ready for clear coat. I'm going to spray this in 2 coats of Wysol matte varnish using my paint sprayer, and this clear coat is going to go right over the top of that hardware, protect all my foils and also the transfer that's on this piece. I choose the matte varnish because I love the low sheen that it gives to this piece, just a little bit of sheen but not too much, and also gives me a ton of protection that won't have a tendency to yellow over time. Here's the finished product, you guys. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's so dramatic. I reinstalled all my original pulls on this. They kind of blend in with the Fleur De Lis in the background, and this is the finished result. What do you guys think? You guys can find links for everything I used in the description for this post. You can find more Brush by Brandy on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube, and on my website at brushbybrandy.com. And if you like this video, I hope you'll click that subscribe button for more weekly painting tutorials here at Brush by Brandy on YouTube.